Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Courtside with Beilinson Tennis, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. So happy to have on with us tonight Adam Barron, former top-ranked junior tennis player and Letterman collegiate tennis player, who currently serves as the Director Corporate Partnerships and Business Development for one of my favorite tournaments of the year, the award-winning Delray Beach Open, the world's only 10-day combined ATP Champions Tour and ATP Tour event, televised nationally and in over 50 countries. It's also one of only 10 ATP Tour events in the U.S. I'm excited to talk all things Delray with Adam. Also have, as always, my co-host and Hall of Famer Steve Flink with me on tonight. It's my privilege to welcome to the Courtside with Beilinson Tennis Pod, Adam Barron. Thanks for coming on, Adam.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Hey, I mean, I don't have to sell you. You've known I've been down there several years now. February in Chicago bluntly sucks. So whenever I have an opportunity to get down to Delray in February, I jump at it. Obviously, the people locally there go ahead and attend the event. All you other tennis fans in cold weather states, it's February. Get out and spend a few days in Delray. It's a family-run tournament. You get to see some of the top world-class players up close and personal. Adam, you're ready to roll for this year, right?
We should be. Yes. Yes. It's amazing how every year, you sit there, you plan 365 days and, 24/7, to live, breathe, eat, sleep, Delray tennis, Delray Open. And all of a sudden, boom, it's here. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's just amazing how every year it sneaks up on you, and then it's there, and you're like, okay, see all the tents go up, all the vendors, everyone contacting you, the sponsors. It's a really exciting time right now.
It's interesting because I go back. It's crazy. In some ways, it feels like 20 years ago. In some ways, it feels very close. But it was just 3 years ago, February of 2020. Your tournament was one of the tournaments that did not miss a year. February 2020, that was the year when you had Coco and Estela Perez-Samariba, the NCAA champ from Miami, during that, had that exhibition. Place was jam-packed. That was a great event. There was some talk. I don't know if you remember, Adam, if you remember, Steve, but February 2020, there was some talk of the virus going on pretty much overseas. It really wasn't in the U.S. yet. Were you even aware? I remember talking to your dad about this, Adam. It wasn't weird shaking hands. No one was wearing masks. It really hadn't affected the States back at that point.
I remember, I mean, God, it seems like so long ago, like it was years. It seems like ages ago, but I do remember there was a travel ban on, I believe, Asian players or from China or something similar to that. Either it was Asian or just from China, not letting them come into the United States because of this virus. And we had the tournament. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody spoke about it. And then it was one of our best years. I mean, 2020 was an unbelievable year. And next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, people start talking about this virus, and we're like, well, and we're starting to talk to the sponsors and everyone coming back, the series holders. It was because it was such a great year. And then I think the reality struck when Indian Wells said, we're not having it. And then everyone's like, whoa. And then, the March Madness and then just a trickle effect. And it was just like, oh my gosh, and then everyone, 2 weeks, we'll just be home for 2 weeks. And
Steve, you remember there was still it was the Mexico tournament after you guys, and then it was Indian Wells. And you're right. Indian Wells was the first big sporting event that canceled like a couple days before the March Madness, the NBA season. Steve, I mean, take it back to your mentality at the time. Could you believe what was going on? I mean, no one could.
No, and I remember I had actually booked my flight. I was I was heading out to Indian Wells, and luckily it never came to that. There was a gap of a few days, and then the tournament was canceled, and I canceled my flight. So we were all pretty stunned, and I remember it vividly. And of course, we had no idea how long it was going to last, what impact it would have on the sport. That was kind of a scary time in the world and in tennis.
Well, you guys got fortunate because 2021 occurred. It was very different. Obviously, you had moved up your tournament. It was the first one of the year, I think. And there were stresses with that because if something happened at your event, Adam, Australia was like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Like, and
it
I remember
was-
talking to your dad about it. The planning was absolutely crazy.
you know, we were sitting here planning for 2021. You know, luckily, you know, things fell into place. I mean, we were in Florida, so we were still able to have an event at the time. You know, I don't want to go into politics or anything like that, but you know, everyone was behind it, and you know, we're just trying to see what it would look like. You know, we did the whole. I mean, it's probably the hardest thing we've ever had to do. It was the whole social distancing seating arrangements. Are we going to have fans? Are we not going to have fans? Are we going to have concessions? We wanted to make everything normal, as normal as it can be. You know, everyone masks. I mean, there's all these different scenarios. And I remember it was December, so our tournament's in February. It was a couple weeks into December, and we found out that Australian Open was moving their dates. And we're like, oh, wait, that's our dates. Okay, so what can we do? So we just like immediately had all these conversations with the tour, and then they're like, oh, by the way, I mean, this is just summarizing it basically. We can have it January 4th. We're like, well, that's 3 weeks away. You know, okay. Or maybe March, but we don't know what's going to happen in March, and you have the Miami Open, and we didn't
Well,
know.
that's what it's interesting you say that, Adam, because that was one of the things I asked your dad when I was speaking with him. I thought that was just from an outsider's perspective, and Steve, I think, would agree with this too. That to me was perfect. If you could do a bubble back to back with Delray and Miami, that again, from an outsider, I didn't know any of the logistics, but that to me sounded like it made perfect sense.
I mean, in the way you just said it, yes. But then again, you know, we still didn't know what Miami was going to do. I mean, they had
Right.
canceled their tournament the year prior, so they were still, I believe, up in the air. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I believe they were still up in the air whether or not they were going to even have it. And then with fans, without fans, capacity, limited capacity, the bubble. So, you know, we sat together, had a conversation with the staff, and we said, okay, what do we want to do here? And we wrote down, okay, what do we have to have 100% to get this done if we're doing it in January? And we called every single person that, you know, the security, the hotel, the city, the location. I mean, it's a public facility. Can we have the location during that time? And within 4 hours, everyone said yes. And we were, okay, there goes our Christmas. There goes our Hanukkah. And, you know, rolled the dice, had everything January 1st, January 4th, first term of the year. And it went off without a hitch. It was fantastic. I mean, obviously, it wasn't what we wanted to do, but everything went great. I mean,
It's better than not having an event at all that year.
it was
Yeah.
great. I mean, and we were the only game in town. I mean, we were the only
Yes.
tournament on TV at the time. Plus, everyone was looking at us to, okay, how are they doing it, to follow direction of what can be done and how it's done. You know, the testing, the masking, the bubble at the hotel, the transportation to and from, everything. And then, you know, all the players got on a flight right after the tournament together, all the Americans or anyone that was in our tournament, and flew to Australia because they had to be there within that prior 2 weeks to quarantine. I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly. I mean, it was just such a blur, but it was probably the hardest thing we ever had to do with limited attendance.
And Steve, I'll ask you. I mean, again, it's hard enough to run your own tournament like you guys do successfully. But Steve, they have the pressure knowing that the first slam of the year is just a couple weeks away. If anything goes bad in Delray, that could be a big hiccup on the first slam of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was a burden. But then on the positive side, the players some of them really want to get ready for Australia. It gave them the even extra incentive to do well in Delray. So I'm sure, Adam, that helped as well. Did it not?
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone was just happy to be playing. I mean, it was a different mindset. You know, everyone was happy to be around people and try to feel you know, we try to make everyone feel normal. People were happy to be with each other. They tested so they can hang out together. And, you know, we had a great field. I mean, Hercax won it against
Corda
in the finals. You know, Opelka played. A few other players have played. I mean, it was one of a top draw. I mean, but people were just happy to play and be around people and play the sport they love.
Well, let's get back to last year, because last year got, thankfully, more normal. Went back to your normal scheduled time slot. Everything seemed to go as far as what a normal Delray Beach Open tournament would be like, which is great. Cam Norrie won it again. You had guys like Grigor Dimitrov play it. You also always kind of throw in a wrinkle, right? You had the Bryan brothers out there playing. They played doubles against Jesse Levine and Scoville Jenkins. They also played, I think, mixed between Layla and Bianca Fernandez, I believe. You're always throwing a rink. Dallas Open just had Madison Keys play Sloane Stevens at their ATP event. And Blair Henley mentioned something on Twitter this morning, and she said, always having a female exhibition at an ATP event. Everyone that she's done has been packed. And I saw what it was like in 2020 with Coco. You had the great event with the Fernandez sisters and the Bryan brothers. It seems like you're always trying to put a little wrinkle in the event. Just don't have it a regular tournament. Have something a little bit different in there.
Yeah, we try to do things differently. I mean, it's, the tennis is the tennis. That's, people are going to come, the tennis enthusiasts are going to come watch the matches. It doesn't matter who you have playing. Obviously it does help to have elite players like, we're fortunate to have some great players coming this year again, next weekend. But
Tommy Paul included in that Australian Open semifinal. That's right.
Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz, and then you have some, Shelton. Everyone's talking about Shelton right now. It's amazing. I mean, I'm a Florida State guy, but I'll still root for Shelton. It's okay. My niece goes to University of Florida. Ivan's daughter goes there, so I guess I got to root for Florida now. But and I think they just took out Florida State the other night. But anyways, we don't have to talk about that. But I mean, just amazing what Australia has done right now. The talk of American tennis, it's everywhere now. All these, JJ Wolf, Brooksby, and all these guys are under 20. I mean, it's really, really cool what's happening right now, and everyone's waiting for that who's those next crop of players that are going to be excelling, and you have a lot of these guys, it seems like now.
Your tournament is unique in that it really is a family affair. I mean, you work with your brother, you work with your dad. I guess, how cool is it to go to work every day to work with them? And if you could also talk a little bit about your playing career. I know you played at Florida State, but also your career path and how you wound up working this tournament with, again, your dad and your brother.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess, right? No, I'm joking. we're just blessed. We have we're very close family, very supportive. My brother Ivan, I mean, my playing career I can tell you about, but I mean, it doesn't compare to what he did. But always, there was no animosity. I mean, when he lost, I was upset. I wanted him to do as best as he could. So we never had that rivalry or anything like that, because I mean, he was just too good to have a rivalry against. But it's really a blessing. We get to work together. My father's right across my office. Ivan's at the other office. It's really great. We bounce ideas off each other, and it's a real true family affair. And we have great staff, great support, and everyone's I mean, it's a blessing. And my kids see it now, and hopefully they'll get into the family business. They say no because we work too hard. They go, no, well, you work too hard. Why do I want to get into that? But it's just really great that how blessed we are to be able to work together and to do something like this. But back to the question, basically, we grew up playing tennis, juniors, just like anybody. The grind of going to tournaments and everything. I think I got up to like number 2 in the nation at one point before college. Had a nice time, great time at Florida State. It was a fun school. A lot of the guys were local Florida kids when I played there, like Brian Stanton, who was an All-American, and Dean Ehrlich, and Jason White, some top juniors. And we just had a great time playing, and it was fun, camaraderie. And then actually after college, went to law school. Went to law school and was a lawyer for about 15 years. I'm still a lawyer. I just don't really practice much. And then every year I would just take off the 10 days for the tournament and say, okay, what do you need me to do? Hang signs, anything, pick up whatever you need. I'm here. Maybe I was in the way, but I'm here. And then every year they're like, okay, when are you coming? When are you coming? And then finally like, okay, that's it. You're coming full time. So I gave up my practice to my partner, just said, here you go. and that was about probably 7-8 years ago, and been here full time ever since. And yeah.
Well, that's great. I guess, forget the tennis. I guess if y'all are still talking after the tournament ends, I guess it's that's the definition of success, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, we talk. I mean, we talk all the time. I mean, it's yeah. It's just my brother and I talk it. I mean, every day we talk because we're just going over everything. And my father, it's really neat. It's really neat. Yeah.
Steve, anything else before we wrap this up?
No, I just wondered, you alluded to it earlier a little bit about the event versus the players. Yes, you'd like to have great players, but you have to also, make people interested in just coming out there regardless of who they might see on any given day. So has your philosophy changed on that over these last 7 years? And how is that, talk about that aspect of the endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're different. We're not a U.S. Open. We're not a Indian Wells. We know what we are. So it's bringing that crop of people that are not tennis people. How do you get those people here? And that's the trick. Not a trick, excuse me. Tricking them into coming here. It's just, what can you do to make them want to come and have an experience? Because everyone, I mean, you're spending money. There's a lot of things to do down in South Florida. Why would you want to come here? And I think we've done a very good job at doing that. We have a lot of parties on site. And once they get here, they see the action right up close and personal. And they're like, wow, these guys are really good. I mean, I didn't realize, because watching it on TV is one thing. It's great. I like watching TV, tennis on TV, but watching tennis up close and personal to the action, it's like, not, I mean,
totally different. Totally different.
I mean, yeah, I'm speechless. Just
the athletic ability. You can see it a little on TV, but the athletic ability and the speed of the game when you see it in person, especially at an event like yours where you can be up close and personal. You can go to the practice courts and you're right there with them.
Yes.
It's TV does not do it justice, not even close.
Yeah, and that's what we love about our event. We keep it intimate. Intimate on a big scale so that people love it. I mean, we have the Atlantic Avenue downtown right here. I mean, what a better place to go. I mean, you have all bars, restaurants, high end, just on the strip, a mile long from our tournament. You park here, you go, you eat here, have some drinks, and then you go party down on the avenue. I mean, the beach is right here. You can't get better than that. February, like you said, it's not Chicago. It's not 2 degrees. It's usually it's usually 70 with a sweater on down here, because people are down here. If it's a little breeze, it's freezing. Got my Uggs on. But yeah, back to your question, Steve. It's we've generated a bunch of different events around the tournament. So I've generated a few events. One new event this year is called the Tacos and Tequila Night. So we have my sponsor, Dano's Tequila, and we're doing a taco contest. We have about 10 different restaurants coming to do a taco contest in the hospitality tent. And then I have a game set pour, which is our 4th year doing it, where we have it's a pairing event. We pair a restaurant with a brewery, and they come out and they do a sampling event. And now you're getting a lot of people that are there. They're used to going to festivals, or they're used to going to a beer sampling event, and they're here. They're like, oh, I found out about it, and I love beer and I love food, so I'm here. And it includes tickets to the matches. And then they go watch and like, wow, this is really cool. And then they come back. I want to come to the finals. I want to come for another day. And then now you've generated some new tennis fans. So that's what we look to try and do something new every year. So like this year, the Tacos and Tequila, that's a new event. And yeah, so we just try to change it up every year with some different things. Our Ladies' Day luncheons, Lily Polster is the presenting sponsor for that. The ladies love it. Just different events.
That's great. Now, you said a lot of the things that I was going to wrap up with. So I'll just echo some of your thoughts again. Atlantic Avenue is the best location. You could leave the ground, have your shopping, grab something to eat, come back in. The beach is right there. Cold weather tennis fans, this is something that you should do. Again, there's always bigger events like the Masters 1000 in the Miami or Indian Wells. That may be a little bit more overwhelming to you if you want to see everybody up close and personal. And that's what I enjoy so much about your event, Adam. And it's It's run by, it's really a family affair. It's run by your family. You feel it up close and personal. And look, 0 degrees yesterday in Chicago. So I can't wait to get down to see you in a couple days, Adam. Thanks for your time, Steve. As always, thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. See you soon.